Jack was wondering how many memory palaces you should have for each different memory competition event. How many should be for practice, how many you should have for competition. So there's a lot of information, let me jump right to it. Let's say you're trying to memorize numbers. Well, when it comes to numbers, you don't have a set amount of information, right? You just have a whole bunch of digits. And so the amount of numbers you're able to memorize with one memory palace depends on how many locations you have. So for me, one memory palace, which is 25 locations, allows me to memorize 150 digits. So let's say I go for 300 digits, that's going to take two memory palaces. And if I want to do three trials of numbers, right, three trials, that's going to take six memory palaces. So as you can tell, it takes a lot of memory palaces right away to do multiple trials. And that's because the more information you're trying to memorize, like numbers, binary, words, it's going to take more and more memory palaces, right? More locations. So let's say you want to know how many memory palaces you should have overall. Well, the thing is, the more you have just in general, the more you could practice. Because say you only have 10 memory palaces, okay? That's all you have is 10. And on day one, you do 5 trials of numbers. Guess what? You really can't memorize anything after that because you're going to have all these ghost images in the locations. So say the next day was binary. Guess what? You can't really practice binary because if you use the same memory palaces right away, you're going to get confused about what images you're seeing, which ones came from numbers, which one came from binary, so it's going to be a total mess. So you just need to have a lot of memory palaces in general. But let's say you do 3 trials of these different events. So numbers, 3 trials, and maybe you're on the same level as me. You know, you're doing 2 palaces per trial. So that's going to be 6 for numbers, 6 for binary. You're just going to have 6 for cards just in general. 6 for words, because for me, I do 2 words per location, so 1 palace is 50 words. So, 5-minute words, 2 palaces, 100 words. So let's do 2 there too. And so 2, I would have 6 as well. So what? 6, 6, 6, 6, and that's going to be 24. Now, I don't know if you're practicing all these events in one day or you're spreading it across, because by day 3, all your palaces on day 1 should be cleared out so you can use again. And that's pretty much how it comes down to. The more palaces you just have in general, the better it's going to be. But what I recommend at least is having 6 memory palaces for each specific event. Now, names, I know Jack was asking about names. I don't use memory palaces for names. So I'm not really sure what number to use. I just change the name to an image and stick it on their face. That's what I do, and it works okay, just fine. And so I don't really have any memory palaces for that specific event. But if you have at least 6 memory palaces for these different events, that's going to be pretty good, because even if you miss up one completely, like something falls or something totally throws you off, like distracts you, because you never know what's going to happen, right? You could scratch one and you still have 4 more memory palaces, which equals 2 more trials. And so having at least 6 for each is a good starting point, but I do recommend start reading more and more and more. So get to the point where you could do 20 trials of numbers if you wanted to, but you don't have to, right? You can just do 20 trials because that's how many memory palaces you have. And when it comes to practice and competition, for me, I use the same memory palaces for competition. They're exactly the same because it doesn't make sense to like change them up last second. But what I do is when I get closer to competition, I figure out which memory palaces I like better, which ones worked better for cards or for binary or whatever it may be. I set those ones aside when I actually go to competition. So those ones are off limits when I actually get to the competition. But beforehand, I still practice with those other memory palaces I have in my memory palace library. So hopefully, Jack, this answered your question. If it doesn't, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I'll try to answer it there or make another video. But yeah, so I think I'm going to start making some more videos on memory competition, just in case some people are interested, just like Jack. So they could kind of figure out what I do, why do I do this, or how do I train for this, and so on. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.